wages, rainy days with no money. Hard work lead to days that are sunny. Looking back, it was all needed. The problems, the pain, the trauma, the grieving. You are now tuned into the prisoner to painter. Prisoner to painter. Hard work, dedication. Rainy days, inspiration. Prisoner to painter. And now, a word from your local hope dealer.
On the Facebook. All right, and we are live.
Perfect. Welcome to the Prisoner to Painter podcast. I'm Nathan McDermott.
And I am Katie McDermott.
And today joining us, Nathan Drumhiller. Thank you for coming on. Thank you for being willing to tell your story. It takes a lot of courage. I still get nervous in front of the camera the first 5 minutes, man. So bear with me. Here we start from childhood, and I feel like I say this every episode, but then we work into where you are now. I feel like a childhood kind of really shows the trajectory you could have went, and if you went that way, or if you chose a different path. Okay, awesome, man. Normally we start with what was your family dynamic growing up, like brothers, sisters?
Yeah, so I got one brother that's older than me.
Okay.
I think he's like 4 years older than me. My parents were divorced when I was probably like 7 years old, something like that. Grew up in a Christian home. My mother homeschooled my brother and I, so I was homeschooled till the 8th grade. Back when it wasn't really cool to be homeschooled, you know, people thought we were weirdos. You know, I'd like to consider myself the exception to the rule of being the weird homeschooler, to be honest with you. But definitely, I can today I could pick out, you know, the group of homeschoolers in Myers when you're grocery shopping, like, oh, they're homeschoolers. You know, let's look at it. You know what I mean? But I ended up going to public school when I was in 8th grade.
Okay.
Yeah. So went to public school in 8th grade, and yeah. I mean, you want me to keep going, or you want to?
No. Man, no. Hey, you're good. So I should have said this before as well. It's your episode, your truth, man. So like, we're just here to draw it out of you. Like, it's your story. How was transitioning from homeschool going to public school?
Yeah, man, it was all good. I mean, by the time I was in 8th grade, you know, I had a lot of kids around that, you know, I knew as in my same age group and stuff like that. So, you know, it was definitely, you know, going to school, being the new kid and stuff, you know, you kind of become popular pretty quick, you know what I mean? Because everybody, you know, oh, there's a new kid this year, you know, or whatever. So, but yeah, it was all good. I was real thankful that I was homeschooled because I'm dyslexic. Okay. So I needed a lot of, you know, more one-on-one. You know, I mean, there was reasons why I was homeschooled, mainly because my mom wanted me to have a Christian education, but also because, you know, I needed the one-on-one tutoring and help to get through, you know, just day-to-day school stuff. Because, you know, reading and writing is definitely by far not my strong point.
So what's your learning style then?
Definitely, you know, hearing and seeing. I mean, you know, I could read a book and probably won't tell you a whole lot about it, but if you have a conversation with me, I've got this thing where I remember every single thing somebody says to like detail. I don't know why, but it's just the way my brain's wired. Like, I literally can remember like almost every word of every conversation. So
That's cool.
Yeah. Man, when you were growing up, what was your most favorite childhood memory?
Man, I don't know. I guess I don't really know if I could really pick out a childhood memory that I would say is my favorite. I do remember my aunt was real close with my brother and I. She is to this day still, my Aunt Nancy. You know, I remember she'd take us to Wednesday night service at church. Seems like for whatever reason, you know, probably because my mom was working or something on Wednesday nights. But I do remember those times when she would take us, my brother and I, to Wednesday night service. And I just always enjoyed my time with my Aunt Nancy for sure. Yeah.
Here, we always do both sides. Is there a worst memory that you can think of?
Not really at the top of my head. I mean, obviously, you know, parents being divorced when you're a child is never fun. So I guess if I had to say there was a worse memory, it'd probably be something lined up with that.
Gotcha.
You know,
Were you always around Jackson area?
Parma.
Ah, like out in the middle of the nowhere or closer to town?
Well, I don't know if there's really any middle of nowhere in Parma, really. We grew up about 2.5 miles outside of town in the country of Parma.
Okay.
Yeah.
I just asked because I grew up around Concord, so like closer to Albion, closer the other way.
I was closer to Concord.
Ah.
Yeah. Yeah. So that's how I really had a lot of friends when I went to schools. I ride my bike uptown and play basketball and stuff during the day. So I knew a lot of people around my age group, you know.
Well, I'm always one. You're fucking big, jacked. Were you always like that?
No, man.
No, okay.
No.
Okay.
You know, it's kind of funny. Probably it wasn't till my sophomore year, junior year, I was about 150 pounds, man.
Okay.
So I started working out, you know, my junior, senior year, and just really enjoyed it and just always worked out for years and years. And then, you know, becoming a business owner, being real busy, I kind of got away from the last few years for a few years and just got back into it a little bit, you know, doing a home gym.
Okay.
Yeah, you know, so
Started
I work out so I can just eat anything I want.
I mean,
My brother's like, man, are you going to cut? And I'm like, man, I eat way too much ice cream to cut, bro.
No, that's
Way too much ice cream, man. So,
Dude, it's funny. We change up the questions for everybody. We do, but one of the growing trends that what was your favorite cereal growing up?
man, we didn't have cereal, bro.
Okay.
Mm-mm.
Okay.
No, man, I remember I'd go over to a friend's house and they'd be like, hey, what do you want for breakfast? My mom will cook us anything you want, you know, and I'd be like, bro, you guys got cereal?
Okay.
You know what I mean? Like, you got cereal, I want some Lucky Charms. We don't get that around my place. You know, my brother was a diabetic, and, you know, my mom just didn't really, you know, we didn't eat like that. She cooked most meals. And, I mean, she was busy, single mother, worked a million jobs, homeschooled us, you know, always had a million side jobs going on, always like, she cleaned houses. She had 3 or 4 churches she cleaned at once. She cleaned different buildings downtown Jackson. And so she did that because, you know, she was able to make her own hours while homeschooling us, you know, and took care of my grandma when my grandma got elderly and, you know, before she went in the rest home. So my mom was a hustler, man.
That's a woman to look up to.
Yeah,
Sure.
she definitely cooked meals. And, you know, like before, if we'd come home from school and there, you know, she'd have something cooked, right? Just got to warm this up or whatever.
Okay.
You know, so.
Dang, man. Were you guys raised on a farm?
No.
No. Okay.
No.
Okay.
Never was raised on a farm.
I sometimes I'm guilty of jumping around, but stuff comes in my.
Yeah.
What made you decide to make a farm then? I just, you know.
Well, man, I always just wanted some property.
Okay.
Really, that's what it came down to. Is I always wanted some land, and I had the opportunity to buy a small farm, and I bought it. When I got it, I thought, all right, I'm going to do something with it.
Yeah.
You know. And it was just a few years after that, I was able to buy the farm next to me. And then I leased another farm across the road. And then I got another lease farm down the road. And actually looking at leasing another pretty sizable farm.
Okay.
Not, you know, a little bit further from me.
Okay.
You know, so.
That's impressive.
Yeah.
Like I like hearing about that. You know, I feel like just the next step is all you have to achieve, and then you can get to the next step and the next step. And I feel like sometimes that eludes me. You know.
Yeah, man, it's weird. It's like I never thought I'd be farming. I never thought I would be doing anything like that. But you know, like when you're in the will of the Lord and what the Lord has for you and the plans that God has for you, when you align your will with His, the Bible says He will give you the desires of your heart. But that's not until you align your desires with His desires, right?
Yep.
And and I'm not saying that, you know, I've always done that. For sure, I've not always done that. But, you know, when God has a plan for your life, there's nothing you're going to do to stop it. You just got to say yes. Yes.
Yeah.
You know, if that's what you want. Yes.
Yes, sir.
You know?
Awesome, man. So homeschool till 8th grade.
Yep.
You go into high school. You play any sports, anything?
Man, I didn't. So actually, my 8th grade year, I played basketball, football, track. Kind of did everything, you know what I mean, to that I could. And in my 9th grade year, man, I was just chasing girls pretty much, man. And then I got my son's mother pregnant when I was 15.
Okay.
So my son was born he was born exactly 1 month after I turned 16 years old.
No kidding.
Yeah.
Okay.
So I just turned 40 last week, and my son will be turning 24 next month.
So how was becoming a father that young? And then was his mother around the same age?
She was a little older than me. Yep. I think she was a senior or something, and I was a sophomore or whatever. But yeah, I mean, it definitely makes you grow up quick. I mean, I definitely still acted like a child and acted like a fool doing some stupid stuff. Could have grew up quicker, but definitely make you grow up quick. And it's all good. My son works for me at my business.
Awesome.
He's married. Just had my first grandchild.
Oh,
So
congratulations.
yeah. So she's like a year and 4 months old, and she's the apple of her pop's eye. Let me tell you.
Awesome.
So definitely love her to death, man, and definitely would be a lot better father. If I was just telling a guy this the other day, he's older than me having babies, and I'm like, bro, I'd be a lot better father if I had children now than what I was back then. And but I spent most of my son's childhood trying to become established, man, trying to become a man, trying to get my stuff together, trying to become established as an adult. So I worked a lot. But my son came to live with me full time when he was I think he was 8. He was about 7 or 8 years old. He come to live with me full time.
Awesome.
Not that his mother wasn't a good mother, just happened out that way. He wanted to come live with me, and it was all good, man. We kicked it together for many years. It was just fun, man. He's a good kid. So,
Dude, I think that speaks to character, because you said it makes you grow up quick. Some people don't. Some people don't think that. Like, some people just keep being a jack off or something like that. I think that speaks to character, man.
Or some people say it keeps you young.
yeah.
Well, no, but I'm saying, like, I've seen people that young have kids, and they did not think to become a man quicker. They thought, how am I going to get out of it? So I think that speaks to character.
Well, dude, I went to work, so I was only really in. People say, "Oh, you went to Western." I graduated from Western, but people say, "Oh, you went to Western. Well, when did you go?" It's like, well, man, I only went to school for like 2.5 years.
Oh, God.
Because I went to school in 8th grade, and then I left my right at the beginning of my sophomore year, and I went to the Option Center.
Okay.
And so I kind of was kicked out of Western a little bit. I got into it with a teacher, and they just said, hey, why don't you go to the Option Center?
Okay.
And so I actually did 2 years in 1 year. And I always tell people, not because I was smart, but honestly, probably at the beginning of my junior year, I realized the Lord gave me a gift, and that was speaking to people. And I learned that I could talk to people, and I could get teachers to, agree with what my plans in life were. And, they just wanted to see me succeed. And,
Awesome.
Instead of acting like a jackwagon or whatever you said, you know what I mean? I'd see kids in there sleeping or whatever all day. It's like, well, I was just like, I only went to school for 2 hours a day, and I did 2 years in 1 year.
Awesome.
And I went to go work the rest of the day at the company that I own now.
Okay.
So I started working there when I was 16 years old.
Oh, shit.
Yeah.
How did you get into that?
Well, always was interested in the construction field. I thought I'd go into the heating and cooling trade because I thought, people would always need heat. And so I went to Aspen Heating, which is right around the corner from the Option Center. I stopped in there one day, and he was like, actually, you know what? I was just looking to hire somebody for this new business we started, which is a fireplace business. Okay. And so, and I said, well, I got a little bit of, knowledge and, construction work. So I had a couple of small construction jobs, and they go, all right, well, you're hired. So yeah, I worked there for, I went to school for 2 hours, and then I'd go working there from like 10 to whatever.
Man, to me, that's the American dream, man. You start somewhere. I just heard this guy talk about it. Seriously, his name's Dong. He's a Chinese guy. His name's Dong, but he started busboying at Brooklyn, Brooklyn Big Boys, like back in the 80s. Now he owns like 4 of them.
Really?
I'm like, that to me is like, and just what you said, you started working at this fireplace.
Yeah.
Like, you know,
Yeah.
that's cool, man.
Yeah, I also worked at Arbor Manor, actually, when you said about washing dishes. I worked at Arbor Manor Care Center Home, which is a Ganton facility. I worked there washing dishes from the time I was like 14 and a half, I think is when I was able to start working there. And I worked there while I worked for this business. I worked there on the weekends washing dishes, and I used to ride my bike there from my mom's house, which was in Parma to Spring Arbor. And yeah, because I was hustling back then, man, washing dishes. I might work. By the time I left there, man, I made pretty good money for washing dishes. I was cook. I was doing all kinds of stuff. You know what I mean? So it was fun.
You just got to have a little bit of drive, man.
Yeah, man, you know, you got to just, I feel like I've had a ton of jobs, you know, because I've worked at this place that I own now for so long. But I feel like you can find enjoyment in all that you do.
Mhm.
You know, the word says, in all that you do, do it unto the Lord, right? So it doesn't matter what you're doing, what you're working, what you're cleaning toilets, washing dishes, putting in fireplaces. It's like, I've never found something I didn't like doing.
Yeah.
You know, and I think it's because so many people put their joy in other things other than just finding joy in, you know, what you're doing, man. You know, I mean, because happiness is a worldly thing. Happiness is not real, right?
Mindset.
Yeah, happiness is just it's a temporary emotion, right? Happiness is an emotion. Joy is something that is a fruit of the spirit. It's down inside of you, and once you have joy, nobody can steal it away from you. Your circumstances can't steal it from you. It doesn't matter what your job is. Your job can't steal it from you. And so, man, if you can find joy in just life, you know, then it's not going to ever leave you, man, no matter what you do.
You set me up. So this is my random book of questions. It's some of them actually get on topic, some are completely off the wall.
Yeah.
What do you do that keeps your inner child alive?
Man, I don't know. I guess I don't know how I mock people a lot. So part of that thing I told you that I have where I remember everything somebody says, it's because I pick up on certain tones and different things in their voices, whether it be, you know, I don't know, quirks that they do or unique things with their voices. That's how I remember. So normally after I talk to somebody for long enough, I'll have like an impression of them in my head. And, you know, some things I say randomly in conversations with people are just words that somebody said that I just been planted in my head, that a certain way they say things. So I guess that's probably how I still act like a child.
Musical at all?
Not musical, no, man. I like music, but I'll be honest with you, I don't listen to music really. I mean, I listen to some praise and worship music. Like if I'm praising God or something, I'll listen to music. But honestly, I'll drive for 8 hours and never turn the radio on.
I don't know how you do that.
Yeah. My wife and I, we drove like 4,000 miles earlier this year, all around out west. We never turned the radio on one time. We just talked the whole time, spent time with each other. You know.
Well, yeah, there's that, but then I feel like I would go crazy. I need background noise. Like I really do.
I listen to like a YouTube video or something like that, you know. But music, I don't know, man. I'm not one of those people that like they're pulling in a parking lot, changing the radio station. It's like, bro, we're about to stop. You know what I mean? Just leave the thing alone. I gotta find a song. It's a commercial. It's like, oh,
I have to finish the song before I get out of the car. It's a good one. So. Another one, just because you said you really like ice cream. What flavor do you hate?
I can't really think of a flavor that I don't like.
Really?
I mean, what would there be?
I can't think of one.
I can think of a bunch I don't like. Black cherry. Ugh.
No, I eat that.
What's the other one?
The only one I might be impartial to is Superman. No, that's the only one I might. Yeah.
I don't know. I'm not a big fan of Rocky Road. It's too chunky.
I don't like a lot of stuff in my ice cream. Honestly, I'd rather just have a vanilla.
Really?
Mm-hmm.
See, I'm partial to chocolate. So.
Yeah. I'd rather have vanilla than chocolate for sure.
It's funny. I love finding similarities in after I quit drinking,
Mhm.
dude, I ate ice cream every fucking day. like every single night, dude. It's like I'm like it's almost like I'm replacing that sugar with a different.
I'm gonna tell you, Haagen-Dazs,
Yep.
vanilla bean. Eat a pint of that a night.
I don't know, butter pecan. There's this extra buttery pecan-y butter pecan.
That's an old person.
That's fine though. There's one they have. I think it's Meyer, and it only comes in a little pint, but it's pecan pie pieces in the ice cream, so it's like extra buttery pecan. It's so good.
Yeah.
So good.
Wow.
Yeah. Well, okay, so you graduate from options, right?
Yep.
And I don't know even how to word this, but so do you think that's beneficial going there? Because I think the stigma is that options means that you're a burnout. It's like options can just be better learning style.
Yeah, for sure. Definitely was better for me. I mean, I needed to get my stuff done and go.
Mhm.
You know what I mean? Like, I went to the career center, and you know, I went to the career center and I told the guy straight up. I said, "Hey, I'm going to get a job and I'm going to go on your work release program or whatever they call it there." You know, and, well, you can't do that to your second year student. I said, "Look, man, I got a kid. I got to go to work." And you know, I met with some people there and just said, "Hey, this is what my plan is." I think that, you know, maybe the way I presented myself to them or whatever, they were like, "Oh, okay, we're going to make an exception for the rule and let you go ahead and go on the work release early." So, and I think it had a lot to do with, you know, I ended up getting a job at Aspen, which is, you know, they were like the largest heating company in town or whatever, probably. Yep. And so, you know, I think they thought, well, he's got a decent job, you know, just let him go do his thing. So, yeah.
Awesome, man. So graduate high school, you already have 2 jobs at that point, it sounds like. Man, when did so how long did you work there before you progressed in your career?
Yeah. So I was working there. Let me see, started when I was 16. By 18, I was running my own crew.
Oh, awesome.
So yeah, I you know, was a crew leader, they'd call it. So I had a helper underneath me, and I had my own truck, and you know, was running my own jobs at about 18. And probably about the time when I was like 20, I was like, man, I'm gonna start my own business. So I started a business on the side, kind of. It was called Premier Chimney Sweeps.
Okay.
So we were installing all kinds of fireplaces all the time, right? And we never, like, when it come to the wood stoves, we never cleaned the chimneys or serviced any masonry chimneys or anything. We just didn't do that work, right?
Yeah.
So I thought, well, you know what, man, we're referring this other guy to clean chimneys, like, and he's probably stealing work from us.
Yeah.
What if I just started cleaning the chimneys on the side, and if we run across somebody that needs a new stove or whatever, I just refer them to you?
Yeah.
They're like, excuse me, like, yeah, that'll be all right. Awesome. So I started my own chimney cleaning business and chimney servicing, rebuilding chimneys, whatever. And, you know, like my first year, I think I did like 14,000.
Nice.
My next year I did like 60.
Okay.
The year after that I did like 150, you know, all on the side.
Mhm.
And I was just like, man, I'm just working 7 days a week, which I mean, I still do. So there's not much change there, but I was just like, you know, I think I'm just going to go on my own. I think I had enough work to go on my own. And so I approached the owner and I just said, hey, you know, I'm going to go out on my own full time. And he's like, well, come on, man, maybe work part-time. Okay. So I said, all right. So I'd work Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, and then Friday, Saturday, Sunday, I'd work for myself. Well, they'd always talk me into working Fridays, you know, and Saturdays. And so finally I was just like, hey man, I'm gonna go out on my own fully. And then that's when they said, hey, kind of, if you leave, nobody's gonna be able to run the fireplace business, because me and another guy were kind of running that division of the business. Okay. Would you be? And they were a heating company. The fireplace business was always kind of like a side deal to them. I mean, and they said, would you be interested in, you know, purchasing the business? And I said, yeah, you know, I'll do that. And I did. And so at the time, naturally, when he offered that to me, I come to the other guy that was working with me and said, hey man, you want to go into this thing together? Mm-hmm. And so he said, yeah, let's do it. So we got together and we bought the business together. And, you know, not to jump too far ahead, but that didn't last too long. I ended up having to kind of get rid of him. I mean, it lasted like probably 7 years or something.
Okay.
Well, that's not terrible. At least it wasn't like a few months. And
No, it just you know, he was about 20. He was older than me.
Mhm.
I think he was kind of just riding me out till retirement. You know, I was out in the field working, making a living for 4 or 5 people.
Yeah.
And man, I just that one day I just said, man, I'm done with this.
I'm working on above the cord.
Oh, right. Who was the most influential person in your life at that time, or just in general, like somebody you looked up to?
So I really, I looked up to, well, actually during that time, I actually, a good buddy of mine, Tom Christoph,
Okay.
who used to, he's bought out of the Christoph flooring now, but we took a trip up north together. He asked me to go up north with him. And like the whole way up there, we call it a divine appointment because whole way up there and the whole way back, we talked about my business, and things I wanted to see change in my business and things I wanted to see do better. I mean, I was working, making a living, had 5 employees, and I was broke, man. I had no money. I was just sick of, living paycheck to paycheck, man. It's like, I'll go back to work for somebody. I had more money when I was working for somebody. You know what I mean? Yeah. And so, he really encouraged me to find a business mentor. Okay. Find somebody that would hold me accountable to things I wanted to see changed in my business. Mm-hmm. And, if I was going to do something, talk to them and have them hold me to it. So, naturally, I went to Gary Schultz, which was the owner of Aspen. Okay. We were in the same building still because when we bought the business from him, we stayed in the same building because we had a showroom and everything in there. Yeah. And I just told him, I said, hey, man, this is what I'm thinking. Like, I need to change these things in my business. And if it doesn't change, I need to get rid of my business partner, and I need you to hold me accountable. Yeah. And he did, I would probably speak with him every month or whatever and just kind of, check in, see how things were going, make sure I was doing it. And then finally, when it came time to like say, all right, this ain't working out between us, man, I just came back from a job one day and I just said, bro, what I'm about to say to you is going to change our relationship. But you got to find a new job, man. You know what I mean? Like, this ain't working out no more. And, I got rid of him. And the first year I did $1 million more. I mean, just instantly, we just took off after that, man. It was awesome. It was definitely a ball and chain holding me back from what I knew we could do had I not be so tied up doing everything. Yep. You know what I mean?
How old were you at this point when you took over the business?
So when I bought it, that was been about 14 years ago, I think, 13, 14 years ago. So I'd have been 30. I just turned 40, so it's at 28, 28, something like that. Yeah.
Man, so just always had a good work ethic from what I can tell. Yeah. Always worked, man, and then just I won't say landed in your lap because you worked hard to get it. Right. But so 28, you become a business owner. Mm-hmm. Man, that's fucking impressive. Man.
Well, and I started my business on the side before that, which was doing pretty well. But yeah, man, it was good, man. Real thankful for, like you said, I mean, sometimes I think that just like what you said, like, yeah, man, just landed in here, Yeah. I mean, yeah, I did work hard for it, but at the same time, I just stopped in one day and asked for a job and, I just did whatever the guy asked me to do. Yeah. I mean, I'd go power wash his house, clean his gutters, paint his fence. Everybody else was like, I wouldn't do that. I'm like, bro, I don't care. All pays the same. Yep. I don't, you know what I mean? I don't care what he has me doing. Yep. You know what I mean? I mean, you guys were stuck down in somebody's basement putting a furnace in, and I'm out here enjoying the weather. Yeah, exactly. You know what I mean? Yeah. Didn't matter to me.
No, I get it, man. Phil employed me for years, man, and then he sold, and that kind of ruined our relationship, and a lot went down after that. But man, I didn't care. I was his automotive painter. I painted cars for years, but hey, there's nothing to paint at the shop. I'll go paint his fence. I don't care or whatever. Dude, I mean, there was times I brought her with me. I was weeding a rock garden. Yeah. I'm like, well, give me 50 an hour to weed a rock garden. I'll weed a damn rock garden.
I'm kidding, bro. Yeah. I'm with you. Man. I'd go out and with a sign saying $5 car washing. That's what it took to make a living, dude. I mean, honestly, I used to tell my employees when I first started, I'd be like, bro, I don't know if we're going to be doing fireplaces in 5 years, but we're going to do something to be making money together. Yeah. So if you want to stick with me, bro, we're going to go after it. Yeah. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Well, hey, man, and speaking from the employee perspective, it's like I found somebody who took care of me, and you gave me 10, and I will always give you 100 back. all because I was always in that mentality of proving something. But
Yeah.
I mean, it sounds like you kind of did that. I mean,
Yeah.
like moving up, it's like I'm the guy. I'm
Yeah.
the guy.
Yeah, man.
Awesome.
For sure.
So okay, 28, man. You own the business. When did the farm fit into this? Like when did that?
Yeah. So farm comes about probably about the age of 29, 30.
Okay.
So actually, right after I bought my business, I was helping a friend that lives next to. He's actually my farming mentor. He's about my parents' age. I was helping him bale some hay because I was just jacked back then. I was looking for a workout, so I'd go over there and help him bale hay.
Back then, dude, you're still jacked.
And so, they would just, one day after we got done baling hay, we were talking over a kitchen table like this. And I said, man, I always wanted to own some property, man. And he said, really? He goes, well, the farm next door here, the lady, finally passed away. She's got one child, and I think they're going to put it up for sale. And he's like, when you leave, stop by there and check it out. So it kind of gave me the lay of the land. Nobody was around there. And so, I stopped by there and I walked back out there back in one of the fields. And man, I'll tell you, I remember the feeling like it was yesterday that came over me. I wanted it so hard, so bad, my heart hurt, man. I was like, dang, man, this is beautiful. I mean, it had everything. It had fields, pond, woods, butted up to the river. It was like dream for like hunting, all those things that, I thought I was going to use it for. Yeah. And man, I just knelt down in that bean field right then and there. And I said, Lord, if this be your will, I'll give it back to you any way that you want me to do it. It's yours. And, after that, I contact the owners, and it's funny, man. It kind of goes back to what I said earlier on. Like when the Lord has a plan for you, He'll align things to come your way. You just have to say yes, And so talked to the guy. I didn't have no money. You know what I mean? I just purchased my business, took everything I had to get it to pay for a down payment for my business. I didn't have no money, but I had a good reputation because my business had a good reputation. People kind of knew about us and what we were doing. And so I told the guy on the phone, I said, hey, would you be interested in a land contract? Oh, no, I'd never do a land contract. If that's what you want to do, don't even bother coming over here. And I was like, oh, okay. And I thought, the Lord said, man, just go over there and talk to him. Just go over there and talk to him. So I went over there and I talked to him. And the lady was really emotional over the property because she was an only child. Her parents had passed away. And she told me story after story when I was over there. And bro, I listened to every story like it was the last one I was ever going to hear in my life. Yeah, like, oh, okay, you know what I mean? Like, whatever. Just listen to every story she had to say. And man, after I met with them, I told them when I was there, I said, hey, look, I ain't got no money. I'm making money, but I don't have any money right now. I'd love to have the place. I'd love to farm it, something. I want to do something with the land myself. And they called me a couple of days later and they said, Nathan, I'm just going to be blunt with you. He said, we just like you and we want to work with you. Awesome. And so they said, we'll do the deal with you. Cool. And so I had to come up with a bunch of money, obviously. And we did a land contract deal for, I had like a 5-year balloon payoff or whatever. But man, right after I bought it, I winterized the house. I owned a house kind of on the outskirts of Parma and Albion. And then I got into a bad accident. My foot was almost amputated.
Oh my God.
Yeah, man. Damn. So my foot was crushed. That's a huge part of my testimony. Really, my foot injury is a huge part of my story. Okay. So I probably should share that if we're in the middle of telling my story. So yeah, man, spent 10 days in the hospital, 2 surgeries. Yeah, it was pretty serious. They almost amputated my foot. And of course, I was still doing my side business and owned the great house. Well, my side business kind of went away. Okay. And really that was protection from the Lord, man, because I ended up going through a divorce. Okay. And, like all that extra income, like I never filed any sort of taxes that year and all that stuff. I had 2 houses. I mean, long story short, man, the Lord really protected me through that whole thing. Doctor said I wouldn't walk for a year. I went back to work at like 3 months.
Right.
You know what I mean? And I ended up moving out to my farm full time at that point,
Awesome.
which it was really rough. It was like house was vacant for like 15 years.
Mhm.
So I needed a lot of work. Newer constructed home, like built in the 70s. So it was like not an old farmhouse or nothing, but yeah, it was just rough. I never really did any updates to it.
Lived in.
Yeah. Yeah. So, yeah, man, it just was like, hey, I knew I wanted to do something with it. Never really thought I'd be farming, dude.
Yeah.
Honestly, the farmer that ran it, or that was leasing the land, had a couple years left on his lease, and I said, yeah, man, you just finish out your lease. And I thought, man, I'd plant all the fields to hay and maybe get into selling some hay or something, and hunt it or whatever, and so when the farmer was done with his contract, you can tell me to stop.
No,
if you want.
no, you're good. No,
Like all I'm doing is talking.
No,
That's the point.
Dude, some people are so hard to interview. This is great. This is great.
Like all I'm doing is talking about myself. And my wife would be like, "Yeah, you're good at that." But anyway, so I took the farm over, planted it to hay, and my neighbor, who's the one that recommended me buying the farm, his wife got sick, and they needed some money to do some treatments and this and that. And so, man, I thought I worked hard before I worked my ever living tail off to buy the farm next to me. And I mean, like, I remember my neighbor across the road who was buddies with my son, still is actually, and he works for me now too.
Oh,
So
wow.
the neighbor across the road works for me. The neighbor on this side of me works for me, and the neighbor down on the other side works for me. I always say I employ half of Tompkins Township, But he calls me up and he goes, "Bro," he goes, "Nathan, this is the kid's dad." He goes, "Man," he goes, "I see your lights pulling in at like 2:30, 3 o'clock in the morning at night." And he's like, "I go to work at 6 and you're already gone again."
Yeah.
He's like, "You're gonna kill yourself, man." And I just said, "Look, man, do you want a housing development next to us?" "Well, no." I said, "Well, I'm going to work hard to get this farm next to us, man."
Yeah.
And so when I got that farm next to me, it came with a herd of cattle, a small herd of cattle. My neighbor Steve was raising cattle and sheep, and he had sold most of everything off. And I said, "Man, if you wanted to keep a few cattle, I'll pick up where you left off, kind of continue your legacy, so to speak, And so when I bought the farm, I think we took over, there was like 17 head of cattle.
Damn.
Yeah. So there was some cows, some heifers, a couple steers, and some yearlings.
Okay.
All right. And so I'll be honest with you, man, I was afraid to death of those animals.
Yeah.
Really?
I've never been around cattle before, never been around big animals like that. My foot, was still not 100.
Gotcha.
I mean, even to this day, there's not a day that goes by I don't know about my foot injury. I'm reminded of that daily. But I was not anywhere close to being 100%. So being around those, I was thinking, man, they're going to step on my foot.
Yeah.
I'm going to be out. But, right about this time, I met my wife. Man, my wife is like, she don't mess around, dude. She's a hard worker. I credit a lot of my success. Most of my success is credited to my wife, really 100%. And so, we were kind of doing this thing together. We weren't married yet. So she had her house, I had mine. And then when we got married, of course we moved in together. She's got 3 children, 3 boys. Okay. And then I had 1 son. So we had four children living at home. And so we started farming. And honestly, man, I didn't know what I was doing. I had no idea. And literally I went out into the field one day and I said, "Lord, I need your wisdom because I have no idea how to do this. I don't know what I got myself into." I gave Steve the money for the land and he left. Yeah. He took his wife to go get treatment. Like, I ran in town and got him a cell phone and was like, "Bro, I'm going to have to call you." Like, he never had a cell phone or nothing before. They were just those kind of people.
Yeah.
I'm like, I'm gonna have to call you when I got questions. Like, I don't know anything.
I gotta give
You know what I'm saying?
phone.
I'd be calling like, man, this cow's making a weird noise. She's like, oh, that's normal. I'm like, okay. You know what I mean? I didn't know what I was doing.
Yeah.
But the second year into farming, I felt like the Lord was telling me I need to go out and move cattle every day. And I thought, man, what the world is this? It's okay. Because honestly, I was just doing what I've seen other people do, you know, other farmers, what I seen them doing with the land. And so I said, all right, I told my wife, Allison, I said, you know, we're going to go out and move cattle every day. And so we got some poly wire, some temporary posts, like poly wire on a reel, you know, and we sectioned one paddock into 2, into 3, into 4, whatever. And we just moved cows every day, man. And what I learned, we did that for a whole summer, not really knowing what we were doing. But what we learned at the end of that year was, man, we needed a heck of a lot more cattle than what we had. Because we fed hay in August with 17 head of cattle, right? Because we'd run out of pasture. You know, pasture would get all eaten up, it'd all be burned off. And I'd feed hay in August till, you know, next spring. We did that for a year. I found a guy on YouTube moving cattle every day. I thought, man, he's copying me. How does he know what God told me to do? Well, no, he was doing something that's called regenerative agriculture that I didn't know anything about. I was doing it, but I didn't know anything about it. I thought the Lord told me to do it, right? And so, man, the next year we took 98 head of cattle on the same piece of land, and we didn't feed hay till like December 1st that next year.
Oh shit.
You know, and today we run 130 head of cattle. We raise 250 pasture raised chickens a month.
Damn.
We raise a whole herd of pastured pork. We do 30 to 40 turkeys a month. We do. We have a whole flock of lamb, all on the same piece of land that wouldn't sustain 17 head of cattle. And last year we didn't feed hay until December 28th.
Damn. How does that work? Like I don't understand. So is it like the manure making the like the grass grow quicker?
There's a lot to it actually.
It's like they're mowing your lawn and then you rotate where they mow your lawn.
Right.
Okay.
Right?
Yeah, and you can check it all out, you know, in Drumhiller Farms on YouTube. Little shameless plug there. Go subscribe. So basically what happens is naturally herd animals like herds of bison and, you know, antelope and all these herd animals would come into a piece of land and they would graze and eat the plant down and not return until the plant's fully recovered. And by big herds, it condenses a lot of manure and urine, and there's a stampeding action that, you know, in a layman's term, the size of the ground, so to speak, right? It opens up the soil path and allows things to grow. And so it's basically mimicking that. All right. So, you know, out of our 100 and, you know, well, pasture currently where we're at, not including a done release farm, about 110 acres of actual pasture. You know, like first rotation. Piece of land that the animals ate on. And so in 91 days, you know, you could go through a drought, right? But in our area, you're going to see rain in 91 days. So you've drought proofed your land almost, right? You've also created a cover over your land that shades the soil from keeping the temperatures cooler, keeping evapotranspiration of the, you know, of the water. You know, you've done so much. And then, so, you know, out of that 91 days, that's 182 moves because I move them every 12 hours now. I started doing them every 24. I move them every 12 hours now. You know? So I move them at like 6:30 in the morning, 6:30 at night. My wife moved them tonight because, you know, I was coming here.
Thank you.
And so, so now we've been able to scale the farm, right, to a point where, you know, we're all USDA certified. You can go on our website. You can add to cart, what you want to choose as far as chicken, beef. So we have every cut of chicken, bone in, skin on, boneless, skinless. I have pork bundles, beef bundles, ground by the pound, bacon. I mean, you name it. We got all of it on there. Yeah.
Do you do that all? Sorry.
Go ahead.
Do you do that all yourself?
That's what I was going to ask.
Oh.
How was setting up processing?
So the processing, I go to the same processor.
Okay.
And we bring thousands of animals a year to them between the chickens and the beef and the lamb and all that stuff. So we have a pretty good relationship with the processor. In order to sell meat like that, like by the cut or whatever, you have to be USDA certified. So once a year, we have a USDA inspected facility on our farm, which I know that sounds really like, fancy when I say that. And I mean it to sound like that. But honestly, it's literally just an inspection from the state. It's really not that big of a deal.
Okay.
There's some certain requirements you have to make, but they come and check in on you once a year. So we have that. I have a big walk-in freezer on my farm, and then I have a little area that's got a bunch, probably about 8 deep freezers in it. That's washable walls and this type of thing. So in order to be USDA certified, you have to have an inspection, and your meat has to go to a USDA certified processing facility.
Oh, so you can't process yourself.
You can process 9,999 chickens a year and sell them off your farm with nothing.
Okay.
But the beef, the pig, that stuff, for whatever reason, the government wants to regulate that stuff, right? And so as long as you go to a certified processor, and you pay for it, they give you the stamp of USDA certified. So all my meat that I sell can be sold in Meijer or anywhere.
Awesome.
I wouldn't degrade myself that much, but you could be if you wanted to.
Yes.
Do you pardon a turkey around Thanksgiving?
Do I do what?
Do you pardon a turkey? Do you
Yeah. Actually, I still have Christmas left over from last year, so I kept 2 back for myself, Thanksgiving and Christmas, and Christmas never made it. So she is still hanging around with my egg layers.
What's a farm raised turkey run you?
Man, this year we've scaled back tremendously on turkeys. We're not really raising any turkeys this year and honestly, I only pre-sold so many turkeys last year. Most of everything we did with our turkeys is we turned them into turkey bacon and ground turkey.
Okay.
Yeah. And I mean, we were selling ground turkey for, I think it's 10 or 12 bucks a pound.
Oh, that's not bad.
And it's honestly not enough. Turkeys are very expensive to raise, man. They eat a lot of grain and they're grazing. So my chickens are raised on pasture in what they call chicken trackers, 10 by 10 by open bottom coops. They're moved every 24 hours onto clean pasture. And what that does for the chicken, I never used to eat chicken. I never used to eat pork, pretty much beef. But when you give pigs or chicken like access to pasture, oh man, I got 1.5 inch thick pork chops that when I tell you can cut it with a fork, you can cut it with a fork. It's so tender and juicy. It's amazing. Yeah.
So you do steak, right? You do steaks?
So our beef I have to be very picky the way we sell it because we sell out so quick. So I don't sell individual steaks. If you want to buy a steak, you have to buy a beef bundle.
Right.
So that's going to come with like 4 steaks, 4 pounds of ground, a 2.5 to 3 pound roast, and then like a pound of stew meat, or maybe all beef hot dogs or brats or something like that.
That sounds fire.
Roughly speaking, what would that run?
$125.
That's not bad at all. What's the cut of the steaks?
Well, I offer 3 different packages. I do a bone-in, a boneless, or a rancher's choice. Normally the rancher's choice is just whatever I put in there, but it's normally a mixture of both the bone-in and the boneless. So, boneless strip steaks, rib eyes, the bone-in cuts are going to be, or tenderloins, and the bone-in cuts are going to be like T-bones, porterhouse, I don't know what else off the top of my head, but yeah.
I was curious. I'm a very big carnivore, so
A huge carnivore.
I'm like an orc. I'm not even kidding.
Yeah, so man, it's kind of crazy. The Lord told me when we started this thing and I was going to move cattle every day and we're going to do all this, he said, people are going to think you're crazy. But he said, literally, they're going to be lined up down the road trying to figure out how you're doing what you're doing. And that same day, somebody stopped on the side of the road and they go, bro, I just like, how are you doing all this? I mean, I can't believe all the animals you got around here now, you know? And, you know, that next year we got Farm of the Year award. That I got asked to be on the conservation district here in Jackson. So I'm on the conservation district here in Jackson County. You know, all the MDARD technicians came out, was it not last month, but the month before. So, you know, they used my farm to train all the state employees on regenerative agriculture, you know, for the MDARD technicians. Next week, actually, there's a meeting on our farm through an organization called Understanding Ag. There's supposedly U of M supposed to be coming down, checking it out. And yeah, so it's just amazing, man. Never thought I'd be doing this. We were able to get it to scale. And we just hired our first time farm employee, man, full time. I've had a couple part-time employees over the last, actually last year was our first year hiring somebody. So my wife and I did everything, man, up until last year, running our business, running the farm, working like 16 hours a day, 7 days a week for like 10 years, man, never stopping. Never taking a vacation. And, you know, I mean, that's partially my story, man, is I just chased success, man. That was a downfall that I had, man, was I chased success. I chased somebody looking at me and saying, man, look how successful you were. And it really stems back to, you know, being told I was never going to make it anywhere in life, you know. You know, when I told you I got kicked out of school, you know, I had a teacher, he looked at me, he goes, oh, you can tell me you're in, you know, 10th grade and you can't even read, you know? And, man, I just, you know, people speak things over you and you don't realize till maybe later on in life how those things affect you. And I never really knew how they affected me. But when I started, you know, getting older and having these character flaws, these character defects that I'm trying to figure out, you know, where this pride and ego and all these things come from that I have that, you know, and it comes from chasing this success, man, chasing after the world. And, man, when I finally got my stuff together and, you know, really realized that, you know, I'm just going to chase after Jesus, man. Really, that's what it came down to. I'm just going to chase after Jesus. He'd been calling me to do something for a long time, and I finally submitted to him. You know, we hired our first full-time farm employee because he called us in to start a church, man. And so I went into pastoring. So Allison and I are pastors at a church that we run, and man, when I start preaching every Sunday, you talk about work, bro. Yeah. It was work, man.
Where's the church at?
So currently we're on our farm, actually. Yep.
Sorry, because what day is it?
Sunday.
You hold service?
Sundays at 11.
Okay.
Right at Drumhiller Farms. You can Google Drumhiller Farms. Show up Sunday 11.
Did you mind if we come out Sunday?
Really?
Yeah.
There's a bear poop in the woods.
I do. We've been attending. So my cousin started City Life up in Lansing.
Okay.
Jerome Vining. He does a lot of music. He's my cousin. I still slaughter his name. And then we've been going to Radiant, Pastor Mike. I always keep our politics out of it. We are not. We still like it, but I would love to come. See what you're doing. Awesome.
Yeah, sweet, man. I'm actually starting my first sermon series this week ever.
Okay.
You know, I don't preach on sermon series. I just preach what the Lord tells me to.
Awesome.
So every Sunday, the weight's lifted off of me, and then by Monday, the weight's back on. Lord, what do you want me to say to your people? That's what I say to them, and I wait to listen.
When is your Sabbath? Since you work all the time and you preach and you got a bunch of stuff happening.
Yeah. So, you know, I'm still working on that. Still working on when the Sabbath. I mean, obviously, we preach on Sunday, and Sunday is the only day my farmhand has off.
Okay.
So after church, I got to get diggity with it, man, and start getting chores done. But he normally sets me up pretty good on Saturday, so it's, you know, not horrible. You know, I mean, it takes a few hours. My wife and I, we normally get together, and it's good because it gives me a chance to see everything. I mean, I do that every day because I move the cattle in the afternoon and in the morning anyways. He'll set me all up and I'll just do the move, which is just open up the fence and say, come on, and they just come running. Okay. But, you know, it also gives me a chance to see everything.
Yeah.
You know, making sure that he's good. You know, I'm not saying he needs constant direction, but it gives me a chance to, you know, look over everything he's doing and make adjustments. You know,
well, and it's yours. You want to look over what's yours. I mean, I get that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The shutter checks itself.
On average, when does your day start? When does it end?
Yeah. Man, I'm up at 5:30 every morning, and the first thing I'm doing is getting in the Word.
Right.
Yeah. So I'm reading my Bible for half hour, 45 minutes, preparing for a prayer meeting that I have every single morning. Okay. Which you guys are more than welcome to come to that as well. It's on Zoom, so we do a Zoom prayer meeting. Man, we've had upwards of almost 50 people every morning on there. But we hover right around about 25 people every morning. And I do that Monday through Friday. Okay. So I prepare in the Word for that in the mornings, and then I go out about 6:30 and go move cattle, which is a real easy, quick little move. Takes about 10 minutes. Okay. And then go into my business here in the city. I call it my city business. Okay. It's away from the farm, the city business.
Do you do any dairy? I was going to ask that. I forgot. No. Okay.
No, it's about the only thing we don't do is dairy. I don't really eat much dairy other than ice cream. You know, I eat a lot of that. But no, I would love to, honestly. I'd love to do dairy. There's a lot of things I'd love to do, to be honest with you.
So that's my dream is get some property, and I want bees and goats.
And I know we've stuck on the farm thing for a while. I mean, it's great. It's a great part of the story. So we'll move on, in here, but one question before that. Do you got farm dogs? Like, how they guard the sheep and whatnot? No? Okay. I'm just curious. I see a bunch of Facebook clips and I just know.
Yeah. No, I'm with you. That's a whole homesteader thing, I mean, there's other people that do what I do that have dogs, but I don't have a big pretorial issue around us. So, yeah.
Well, does the amount of animals maybe just keep off predators anyways? Like, I mean, cows. I mean, I gotta be afraid to run up.
I think a fox is afraid of a cow, though.
Yeah, so a mama cow would never, a whole herd of 130 plus head of cattle would never let something come into that herd. I mean, if we were out west and there was, bear or what, or up north, whatever, yeah, they'd come in and steal a calf. But the mamas are very pretorial over their calves. They'll go after something. The birds this year was our first year we ever had a pretorial issue with our birds. I mean, I raise 3,000 plus meat birds a year, and I'm the biggest predator. I might run over one with a tractor or something, on accident. Yeah. But this year we had some coon issues that my farm hand trapped them, and we got rid of them. But we had a little bit of hawk issues, but other than that, we don't really have the problem.
Okay. Well, your city business, you moved, right? Yep. That new store looks fucking gorgeous.
Yeah, it's sweet.
Seriously, the outside looks like a fucking flame. Yeah. I like it, dude. It's badass. It is though.
Yeah, it is sweet.
How?
I got a shout out to Gary. Yep. Gary Treese. That's the GT Rapco. He's actually my ministry partner as well. So we have the ministry together. He's the one that did all that. He wraps all my vehicles and he wrapped the whole storefront. So it's really sweet.
Man, how was never talking about money, but how was it more money? I'm guessing more money moving. Like how did you handle that fear?
Well, you're gonna see a common theme with me. It's like all these stories I have are God stories, and it was a God story, man. Like, I'll be honest with you, my wife and I, we set ourselves up to retire when we were 50 if we wanted to. Awesome. You know what I mean? We thought, you know what? Everybody's like, oh, you got to get your own building. I said, man, one day I'd take people in my showroom because we had a really nice showroom where we were at. And, one of the largest showrooms in the state of Michigan for fireplaces and stoves, we had over 100 fireplaces in my last showroom. And I'd take people and say, you see all this? I'd say, I'm going to sell all this and I'm going to go on my farm. And every morning I'm going to wake up and say, honey, why don't we make tomorrow our in-town day? You know what I mean? Like, I don't want to leave the farm just every day. And man, I remember it like nothing. I was sitting out in my front showroom and I was watching the traffic go down Michigan Ave. And I heard the Lord say, you need to go find a building. And I'm like, I don't want to find a building. I'm happy where I am. He said, no. He said, your time is limited here and you need to find a building. So I argued with him for a couple of weeks. And finally I was driving down Michigan Ave. And I said, Lord, man, if I got to get a building, I wish you'd just give me a building right down here on Michigan Ave somewhere. Like, I was looking 2-3 miles both ways from my shop because my current business was on Michigan Ave and I wanted to be right there on Michigan Ave. And I'm driving up and down there. 3 days later, I was driving and I seen that building that we moved into vacant, like out of nowhere, just gone. Everybody was out of there. And I knew the building because it used to be Madalena's floor tile.
Yep.
So it had a showroom, it had warehouse space, everything that we needed, you know. So I got a hold of my accountant. I said, man, find out who owns this building. So we thought Madalena still owned it. Well, it was sold in 2019 anyways. He said, it's already sold, but here's the guy's name that bought it. I was like, well, forget it.
Yeah.
And I looked at the number about 2 weeks later or something, said, just call the number. Well, I called the guy. He goes, oh, I bought that, 6-7 years ago. And I was like, oh man, would you be interested in selling? He goes, yeah, sell it. And he told me, and I'm like, oh my, get that. Because it come with the other 2 buildings. So there's 3 buildings there that I own.
Okay.
Yeah. And I go, man, there's no way I can afford that. He gave me a price. I said,
Yeah.
I said, man, would you be interested in doing a land contract or something with this shit? He goes, that's the only way I'll sell it.
No shit.
Is land contract. I said, oh, okay. So man, one thing after another. I mean, we would hit a roadblock and say, well, I guess it ain't gonna work out, but somehow just come together. Okay. And when we meant to close on the building with the guy that owned it, he goes, man, I'll be honest with you, there was a lot of people that were interested in the building. He goes, nobody had any money. And he goes, with you guys, he goes, it seemed like every single time, he goes, I didn't believe this day was going to happen until I just signed the paper. He goes, because every time something would happen, I'd go, oh, he goes, there's a roadblock. It's not going to happen. He goes, for somehow it just always worked itself out. He goes, I can't figure it out, man. And of course, the whole time I'm telling him, man, the Lord's telling me I need to get this building and stuff, And I said to him, I said, well, bro, man, I said, when you're in the will of the Lord, that's how things work, man. They just come together, man. And he was like, it was pretty cool. It's a testimony because I started a new business that bought that business, that leases to my business, and he goes, well, what's the new business name that you named it? And I said, G2G Properties. He's like, G2G Properties. I said, glory to God. He was like, I knew it was going to be something like that, man, because you've been talking this whole time about God telling you. So, man, it was so great to have our own space. We completely remodeled the whole building. Awesome. And stop in, check us out, man. 2418 West Michigan Ave. I've got, hundreds of fireplaces in there. We have patio furniture, outdoor kitchens. We are literally the largest fireplace showroom in the state of Michigan. Awesome. Yeah, it's sweet in there, man. We completely redid it. And, we lease out the other 2 buildings. That works out really well. Awesome. So, man, it's been really cool.
Dude, I want to be my definition of success more than anything in the world. So that's why Phil was a mentor. Rich Cook, I'm starting to look up to him. Finding these people. If you sit with 7 millionaires, you'll be the 8th. If you sit with 7 bums, you'll be the 8th. You know what I mean? Yeah. So, but it's just cool to see. That's such a cool story. Going from working to now you own a fucking farm. Yeah. That's crazy. What did you? Sorry, I'm stuttering now. I'm getting nervous. What was the one thing that made you damn, I made it? Was it the farm? Was it the new building? Was it what was it?
Man, honestly, 2 years ago, my wife and I went through a really hard time.
For sure.
And, blended families is the toughest thing in the world, man. I mean, I thought we did a great job at it. And, you know, I think in some aspects we did, but it's very, very tough, man. Blended families are tough.
Mhm.
And so, you know, went through a really hard time. And what happened was I needed to be humbled, man.
Okay.
I needed to be humbled. And the Lord humbled me. And I had a lot of pride issues that I never seen before. And I was very selfish. You know, I was the most genuine. Guys, help me out with that. My wife.
Disingenuous?
I was very genuine
Oh gosh.
So,
to people other than like my family. You know, I was very selfish with my time. I worked, you know, I mean, my wife and kids would go on vacation and I would be like, man, I can't wait. I'm not, you know, I wouldn't even go with them. And I'd be like, man, I can't wait to work till 3, 4 in the morning every night while they're gone. You know, it's just because I was so caught up in everything that Nathan had to do. You know what I'm saying? It was all about Nathan. You know, I mean, we started a church downtown, my wife and I, with some other people. And, you know, it was all about Nathan, my success. It was about, hey, look at what I did. And the Lord had to humble me, man. And when I figured out that I made it is when I gave everything over to Jesus, man. And it's no longer about me. And even when I came here tonight, man, I prayed. I knew I'd be talking about myself because you asked me my story. But, man, I just prayed. I said, Lord, man, make this be about you and not about me. Because, man, I'll be honest with you, that's when I really said I made it to myself, is when I let go of myself and got rid of this guy that was chasing success and chasing all these things, man. And, you know, don't get me wrong, man, I still love being successful. Mm-hmm. I think it's important to work hard and do those things. But, man, when I quit chasing the things of this world and success and all those things that come along with it, quit drinking, drugs, smoking dope, doing all those things I did for so many years, man, that's when I made it. That's when I made it, is when I just gave all myself over to Jesus, man.
I look in the fucking mirror, dude. I just had this, I just had the same epiphany, dude. It's like we invite people on and,
it's funny, the people who we have on always talk about things where it's always like mirroring, or we'll have a conversation, and that is exactly what they touch on.
I was chasing success for so long, and dude, I made it up to $150,000 a year working for Phil. I was fucking killing it. Now I make $20,000 a year, and I'm happier now. Clearly I make more doing other stuff. But for my main job, I make $20,000 a year. I'm like, that's $130,000 left a year, and I haven't quit smiling. I'm like, I found that success can be a lot of different things. I'll get my success in money eventually, but I was doing the same thing. I was working fucking 6 in the morning. I mean, not as much as you, but I still was working 15-hour days, you know. But,
yeah, man, don't make it a competition, because then, you know, egos will start flaring up.
Yeah. There's too much testosterone.
Well, before we end it then, can we talk a little bit about your ministry?
Yeah, man, for sure.
So
kind of crazy story, man. I told you that whole thing that my family and I went through was real tough on us. We decided, it was no fault of the church that we were going to, but, you know, we just decided to leave that church that we helped start. And actually, I was going to Oasis of Love, downtown Jackson, you know, and great church. Love those people. Great ministry. You know, if you know anything about the church, you know, I guess what I'd say is, you know, I got a different color pigment in my skin than everybody else that's there, you know, but I love the people. I love the way they worship. Great people. My buddy Gary was coming there with us, and it was so weird, man. I'd had somebody speak some things over me about almost a little over a year ago to the date, actually. And they said, man, you got a calling on your life, man. The Lord's been calling you into something. And I knew he was. He's calling me to do this for many, many years. And I just, you know, it was always about me. Mm-hmm. And, you know, that's what had to happen. He had to get rid of Nathan so he could use me. You know what I mean? And, man, it was one Saturday I woke up, and out of the blue, I got up and I felt like, man, I'm not supposed to go to that church this tomorrow. And I loved going to that church.
Mhm.
To this day, I would love to go there. Honestly, if I had my way, I wouldn't be preaching every Sunday.
Yeah.
This I got way more other things I would rather be doing
Yeah.
than preaching every Sunday morning. Because I mean, I love it. I love doing the work of the Lord, but I would rather be doing something for
Yeah.
myself, like just attending a church and just receiving,
Yeah.
especially down there. I love those people. And I shared with my wife, I go, I don't know. I just kind of feel like we were out to dinner that night. We didn't have any kids. I said, man, I kind of feel like we're not supposed to go to church tomorrow. She's like, oh, that's weird. And so at dinner, underneath the table, my wife doesn't like me on the phone table. I kind of texted Gary. I said, hey, you going to church tomorrow? And it was kind of a joke. We would do that. We knew we were going to church. We went to church every Sunday.
Yeah.
He goes, man, I don't know. I'm just not really feeling like I'm supposed to go there. And I was like, boy, it's funny. So I told my wife, and she goes, well, maybe there's something to that. She goes, maybe we should just meet in the pole barn tomorrow.
Yeah.
It's all right. So I took a text to Gary, said, hey, why don't you and Lindsay and the kids just come over to the pole barn, man? We're just going to do church there. And I told a couple other people, and we were running a large Bible study on Thursday nights, which you guys are invited to on Thursday nights at 6:30. We do a Bible study. We run 25, 30 people there at night on Thursdays, and
Awesome.
so we kind of just started like the Bible study setting on Sunday. And then like more and more people started coming. And then I think probably by about the 4th or 5th Sunday, I go, man, I gotta prepare a sermon.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So we took the tables and chairs and put them in a row, and we just started having church there every Sunday, man. It just kind of happened organically. I did get ordained.
Awesome.
At the first of this past year, I got ordained. So I was ordained at the time and stuff because I knew that was eventually kind of in the works for us.
Mhm.
But yeah, man, we just started having church every Sunday on the farm. And, last Sunday we had about 52 people there.
Damn.
Yeah. It's nice. We got a nice space. It's heated. It's air conditioned. I got a really nice finished pole barn. It's
Okay.
nice inside. And we've looked for a building in town. I've looked at a couple buildings actually this past month, and I know we would probably grow the church a lot more faster if we were more centrally located, but the Lord kind of was just like, man, just take your time.
Yeah.
There's no rush. I mean, to grow for the sake of growth, it's really not what we're trying to do. I think being where we are, we're building a core group of people that are going to be really ready when the harvest starts to come, man. You know what I'm saying? So I've seen more. I'll tell you, with the ministry, we do the morning prayer meetings. We do a couple of revivals downtown Jackson every year. But I've seen more in the last year in my Zoom prayer meeting than I've seen being a Christian my whole life.
Yeah.
I mean, I've seen people forgive people that they couldn't forgive for 15 years. I've seen people quit, taking antidepressants that were on for 10 plus years. I've seen people quit, drugs and alcohol all through a Zoom meeting, man.
Yeah.
Like not even an in-person session, just the Holy Spirit's so thick, man, that through the Zoom waves, I don't know how it works. You know what I mean? I don't understand any of it.
Yeah.
I mean, and man, we've seen so many real encounters with the real, the real God, the real Christianity. I tell people all over, and they find out I'm a pastor, and I'm not religious. I said, thank God.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Because I'm not religious either. What do you mean? I said, I hate religion. I've never heard that pastor say that. I said, well, you got to understand, religion is man-made. Religion is all these things that come along with a church, which is what we're trying to avoid to do, Like, eventually those things are set up for a reason. But man, we're going to try our hardest to be something other than a religious. There's such a spirit of religion in this everywhere. But I think in this Jackson County, there is such a thick spirit of religion that, man, we need to get people encountered with the real Holy Spirit, man, and not religion and not all these man-made things, fog machines and strobe lights and all these things where you take all that away and you ask people, hey, did you feel the Holy Spirit in service today? Oh, no. Where'd he go? Well, he was in the fog machines, the light show, the cameras, action. You know, it was in all this man-made stuff. You know what I mean? And so, you know, I'm not saying we're doing it any better than anybody. We're just trying to figure it out, man, and just let the Lord lead.
Human connection as well.
Yeah.
No, sometimes I feel like the misconception of, oh my God, I felt it in my soul. No, you felt the bass. You felt the drum. I hate to be that, but like real, like that's how you feeling God. That's all that shit up there, pounding and yeah.
Well, you should be able to feel that same feeling in the morning when you open up your Bible, looking in your Word, man. I mean, I feel them when I worship, man. I mean, when I'm Sunday mornings before people come, I'm on my knees, you know, crying out to the Lord to show up in our pole barn, man. You know what I'm saying? And you don't have to be at a church. It don't have to be anywhere. It could just be, you know, the word says where two or more are gathered, here I am, you know? And so, man, church is not what a lot of people want to make it to be. You know, it can be so many more things than just a building, you know? And when we leave church on Sunday, man, we are still the church. We are still carrying Christ with us, you know? And so, but yeah, man, definitely you guys are welcome. We're on the farm. Maybe we'll get a building someday. At this point, I would, you know, if you'd asked me a week ago, I said, yeah, we're going to get a building. We're looking for a building. And I kind of now it's like, well, Lord, you do whatever you want to do. You know what I mean? So.
Awesome. I got one more question before I wrap up.
Yeah, man.
My favorite scripture, I think it's Matthew 6. I don't know what that, because I'll slaughter it. But it pretty much says that that the bird wakes up in the morning, he doesn't worry about where to find the word, that he knows the Lord will provide. The wolf doesn't worry about getting his coat in before winter, the Lord will provide. That's my favorite scripture.
Yeah, man.
What's yours?
So my favorite scripture has been switched the last couple of years to this. It's 2 Corinthians 5:17. Okay. It says, if anyone is in Christ, he is a new creation. The old is gone and the new is here. And so, man, I'll tell you, that's my testimony, bro, because, man, I felt so inadequate for so many years. And that's why I chased success. Yeah. You know, part of your podcast is, you know, what is success, right? And, you know, I chased that success. And honestly, I chased it so other people would look at me and see success in me. You know what I'm saying? And, you know, a lot of character flaws came out along the way because of that. You know what I'm saying? And, man, I hear people say all the time that there's freedom in Christ, and I never knew what that meant. I'd have buddies, oh, man, I got freedom here and I got freedom there, and I didn't know what that meant. And living a life apart from your design is like a ball and a chain, man. When you're living doing something you know you're not supposed to be, or you're living a life you're like, man, I know this ain't how I should be living, and every day you're carrying that with you. It's literally like a ball and a chain that you drag around everywhere because you know you're not living right. You know you're not doing what you're supposed to be doing, and it's a guilt and it's a shame that's on you all the time, right? And when you can break that, man, there's so much freedom. You know, now you experience freedom, and now I realize, no, I am a new creation because of what Christ has done for me, man. I'm a new creation. That old man that people would say was selfish and arrogant, maybe, I don't know if I really call that, but prideful, all these things that I would put on myself, he's no longer alive anymore, man. He might want to flare his head up every once in a while. You know what I mean? And it's like a whack-a-mole, boom, put him back down. But you know what? I am a new creation, man. The old is gone and the new is here. Hallelujah.
Yes, sir. So, same wrap-up question from me to her. My first one, is there anything that I should have asked or that we missed, or anything we missed?
Man, I feel like all I did was talk about myself. I don't know.
Right to the point.
I know, man. Not that you did a good job.
Thank you. I was once told, and I've been saying this, my grandma once told me, don't take criticism from somebody who hasn't constructed anything. So I take the other way, you constructed something. So I'll take the criticism. You know, I'll take the criticism.
The feedback.
Yeah, feedback. And then my same random question for everybody. What's your definition of success?
Man, I think I've already given that a couple times.
Yes, sir.
I'll give it again, though.
Yes,
the definition I would say of success is not what the world would think is success. Success is when it's less of you and more of others and more of your creator. You know what I'm saying? And you know, again, success for me is when I removed myself from being in control of my life.
Perfect. Yes, sir.
If you could meet younger you get along with
I
younger
was
you,
actually hoping you would ask this question.
and vice versa as well.
I think I get along with myself, but you know the one thing that I would change about myself, because you mentioned this earlier, and I thought this would be a good question. So if I went back, this is the question I'd have you ask me.
Okay.
If I could go back to me when I was 14, 12, 15, whatever it is, I would tell that young man to find people like I have now around me, right? Because you're only, like you said, you know, you want to know how to be a millionaire, go hang out with some people that are millionaires or whatever, you know? But man, if I could go surround, I got friends, like if you seen Gary and I, you'd think, man, these two are two opposite dudes. But it's the commonality that we have in Christ. And outside of that, bro, I tell them all the time, dude, I probably wouldn't hang out with you, man. You know what I mean? Because you're totally different than I am. Brokenness?
Okay.
Why did you say it had to be a real word? Did someone
Because
say not a real word?
they'll try to mush words.
Okay, I get it. I'm like, I haven't heard
Like
the word.
stick-to-itiveness.
Yeah. Okay, yeah, that's not the word. I'll give
See?
you that. I'll give you that. Okay. So our huge thing here, is because we want to we want to set ourselves apart from everybody else. We do an intro, which we already told you about. At the end of every episode, we give a gift card, gas card, whatever of the nature. This week, Hadley Jr. He makes a massive mineral mix. I don't know if you're much of a hunter, but I'm sure you know people that hunt it now. So, I guess this is legal because it's supposed to help. But I guess this amount is legal, whatever it is. So that's why you can get away with selling it. Yep. There you go, dude.
Mineral, it's not.
Yeah.
Mineral, yep.
And then also, last question, we sign our table.
Sweet, man.
Awesome. Thank you for coming on, dude.
Yeah, man.
Seriously.
Thank you very much. I'll give you a handshake for you.
Yep.
Thank you.
And then I will see you guys later. Thanks for watching.
Just enjoy it.
It's perfect. The video just died as we ended.
Yep.
Do I sign it or?
Whatever you
Steve,
want.
there's all kinds of stuff right